Welcome, welcome everyone. It's so lovely to see so many familiar faces. The energy is already amazing. There is over 100 Theta healers here tonight, and I have pleasure to hosting Mark Anthony, the creator of the Wealth Consciousness ThetaHealing elective seminar. And we prepared this webinar and we named it How to Attract More Money with Theta Healing. So I hope you have some things to take notes with, and I hope this event is going to be a huge contribution to you. I look forward hearing your feedback and to see you in our upcoming Wealth Consciousness seminar as well. So enjoy and give a warm welcome to Mark Anthony. Thank you so much.
Welcome everyone to this webinar. I'm so excited that you're here tonight. Tonight is about expanding your awareness and aligning your consciousness with abundance. And you'll discover why you might be pushing money away, or why you might be experiencing difficulties when it comes to money. And this is really important because I'll also show you and help you understand how you can change all of that, because having the abundance that you desire is actually really easy. But firstly, just to share a little bit about my journey, is I'm actually an industrial engineer, and 21 years ago, I had my own business in the construction industry and I got sick. And it got to the point where I was that sick that the doctors told me that there was nothing more that they could do for me. I had a medically incurable illness, and they basically sent me home to die. And that's the point where I realized that if things are going to change, I've got to do something differently. Because I had a lot of faith in the medical industry, and all of a sudden now the medical industry was saying that they couldn't help me. So that was a really stressful experience and stressful time. And I came across, well, my naturopath actually gave me a book, and it's called Go Up and Work with God by Vienna Steibel. So this is obviously a very early copy of Vienna's ThetaHealing book. But she gave me this book, and as soon as I started reading it, I just knew this was it. I didn't know what Theta Healing was, but I just knew it was going to help me. And so I had a consultation and I took a class. And at the end of that first weekend, I knew I was completely healed. And that was the time in my life where I really knew that our consciousness changes everything. And this is really important for you to understand. Your consciousness changes everything. When you shift your awareness, you allow yourself to shift the reality around you. And this is really important because 90% of manifestation is subconscious. Your subconscious mind is creating the majority of your life. And your beliefs are what are creating your reality. And if we look at the subconscious mind and how it works, and I'll just really quickly go through this because it's important, but your conscious mind is the logical and rational part of your mind. And it operates at about 40 bits per second. The subconscious mind is like a supercomputer, and the supercomputer operates at 40 million bits per second. So it is like a supercomputer. Now, the interesting thing and the important thing to understand is that up to 95% of the time, your subconscious mind is in control of your life. So that means only about 5% of the time we are consciously and logically in control of our lives. That's the rational part of our minds. So it's important to understand that the majority of the time, our subconscious mind determines how we deal with any given situation. And this is the key, because there are times in your life that you react to people, and all of a sudden you look back and you think, why did I react that way? Why did I get so angry about that situation? And that's because it's a subconscious reaction. And this is really the key to understand. So let me just go a little bit deeper into that. If we were to look at the subconscious mind as a filing cabinet, so what happens is when there is a file there, your subconscious mind identifies it and it sees it as the truth. Okay, so if we use an example, little Johnny's at school. He's 5 years old, and the teacher says to him, Johnny, you're too slow. So Johnny thinks too slow, that means I'm dumb, I'm stupid. So what happens now is Johnny creates a subconscious file called too slow. So now 20 years later, Johnny's at work. His boss walks into the room, has a look at what he's doing, and says, Johnny, you're too slow. His subconscious mind scans the filing cabinet, finds the file that says too slow. I'm dumb, I'm stupid. So now Johnny reacts. He gets angry and he says or does something that he's going to regret. Johnny has reacted based on the misperception of a 5-year-old, right? That's how the subconscious works. If there is a subconscious belief there, then the subconscious deals with that situation based on how it's perceived, that belief system. So in this case, it was perceived in a negative way. So Johnny reacts in a negative way. If we were to do a healing on Johnny and we change the belief that he's too slow, so now his boss walks into the room, has a look at what he's doing, and says, Johnny, you're too slow. The subconscious scans the filing cabinet, and there's nothing there. So now Johnny, his logical and rational mind can take over. So Johnny says, I had a longer lunch break today. I'll work back this afternoon. So you see the difference. When there is a belief system, we have no control over how we deal with that situation. But when we release that belief system, all of a sudden we're present. We're looking at the situation as it is, and we're able to deal with that situation for what it is. And that's the key to understand with your life. Your health, your finances, your relationships are all determined based on your subconscious beliefs. So when we change those, we allow ourselves to create a whole new reality. The other thing that's important to understand here as well is we have a lot of ancestral and past life beliefs that can determine our belief systems as well. So not only can it be your belief systems that you've created in this life, it can also be your ancestors, and it can also be from past lives too. So what's really important to understand, right, is your wealth consciousness is the level that you are allowing yourself to experience abundance. So just to clarify, wealth is abundance in all areas, right? This is really important. Wealth is not just about money. Money is just one aspect of wealth. But wealth is about having abundance in all areas of your life. And this is really important. So if we have a mindset that allows wealth into our lives, and we will experience wealth. If we have a mindset that wealth is wrong or it's not a good thing, then we're going to push money away from us, right? So what's important to understand is that we are energetic beings. And this is the level of our energy today. So each one of us is different. And each one of us is at a particular level. Now, whatever level we are at, that determines our health, our relationships, our finances. It determines all aspects of our lives. So what's really important here is this is the level that we're at today. When we manifest something, our manifestation is at a higher level. All we need to do to experience our manifestations or our desires is actually raise our vibration. See, when we raise our vibration or our consciousness, we allow ourselves to experience more abundance. And that's how the universe works. So 21 years ago, I had a medically incurable illness. And once I decided to heal myself, all of a sudden I found theta healing. All of a sudden I found the people that were able to help me move from being half dead to being completely healed. And so what happened was I shifted my consciousness to another version of myself that was already healthy. See, what's important to understand here is the wealth that you desire is already there. Everything that you desire is already there. See, in spirituality, we are taught that we are one with all that is. We are one with the energy of creation. In quantum physics, we are taught that everything that makes up the material objects around us is made up of the same energy that makes up our physical bodies. So the energy that is outside of you is the same as the energy inside you. And that's really important to understand. So spiritually and scientifically, we are one with all that is. So if we are one with all that is, here's how things work. If this is a cell inside our bodies, and we all have trillions of cells, everything outside of this cell is the environment. So this here is sadness. This is love. And this is happiness. So in the environment, there is love, there is sadness, and there is happiness. But this person only has one receptor open, and that is the receptor for sadness. So it doesn't matter how much love you send this person, they're not going to experience it. Doesn't matter how much happiness is there, they're not going to experience it. So on a subconscious level, basically what's happening for this person is they're saying to the universe, whatever sadness is out there, bring it to them. That's how it works. So if we teach this person what love feels like, we open a new receptor. And then we teach them what happiness feels like, we open a new receptor. So all of a sudden now, their life is very different. They're experiencing love, they're experiencing sadness, and they're experiencing happiness. So their life has greatly improved. But see, here's the thing. The environment has not changed. Their life has changed, their life has improved, but the environment is still exactly the same. So if we teach this person how to live without sadness, we close off that receptor. But if we expand what's in the environment, so all the money that you desire is already there. The divine life partner or that incredible loving relationship is already there. The amazing health that you desire is already there. So it's really important to understand that everything that you desire is already there in the environment. But it's our belief systems that are blocking us from experiencing our desires. So when we raise our wealth consciousness, all of a sudden we allow ourselves to experience the abundance that's already there. So here's the important thing. A lot of people get caught up in the mindset of thinking that they have to make things happen in their life. You don't make anything happen. When you're trying to make things happen, you're actually going against the way reality actually works, the way the creator works. What you're doing is you're allowing that abundance into your life, and you allow it into your life by raising your awareness. When you raise your awareness, you allow yourself to experience it. So here's how it works. If you think about oxygen, the human body can survive for about 3 minutes without oxygen. But see, here's the thing. You don't think about oxygen. You don't think, how am I going to get the oxygen that I need? Where's the oxygen going to come from? So you don't think about that at all. You just have absolute faith that the creator is the source of your abundance when it comes to oxygen. Because you can't smell it, you can't feel it, you can't taste it, but you just have absolute faith that there's more than enough oxygen there. And that's what's really important to understand here. When it comes to abundance in your life, the creator is the source of your abundance. And if you can allow yourself to be in the energy of already having the abundance that you desire, then you're going to find that you allow it into your life. You don't make it happen, you allow it. And this is really the key. So if we look at money, there are some key things about money that we need to change our thinking with. And one of the first things, actually, before we go into that, I just want to explain something about money first, right? So a lot of people have unconscious issues with money, right? See, I already mentioned that money is just one aspect of wealth. And that is really important for you to remember. The other thing that's important to understand about money is money does not motivate you. Money is not a motivation, right? If you think about having $1 billion, right, what does $1 billion look like? So let's just clarify that one. So let's use 1 billion euros, right? Because I know that some currencies it may be not that much, a billion. But if you think about $1 billion, 1 billion euros, what does it look like? What does it feel like? See, it's not that easy to think about. It's not that easy to feel it. But if you think about what you could actually do with $1 billion, what lifestyle would you have if you had 1 billion euros? Where would you live? Where would you travel to? all of a sudden you start to create this picture in your mind and you start to get excited about that picture. See, money doesn't motivate you. It's what you actually do with that money that motivates you. And the quickest and easiest way to attract more money into your life is to give it a purpose. So what is it that you're going to do with that money? And once you know what you're going to do with that money, then all of a sudden the money will show up in your life. And we've all done this before. There have been times where you had an unexpected expense come in. And all of a sudden you're thinking, how am I going to get the money for this? How am I going to pay for this? But somehow the money, the right amount of money comes into your life. It's almost like the perfect exact amount. And that's because on a subconscious level, you've given that money that purpose. You know where that money needs to go, and the right amount of money comes into your life. That's the key. When you give money a purpose, so it will come into your life. So the important thing to understand about money is it's just an energy. Money will flow into your life if you are comfortable having it. If you have a healthy relationship with money, it will flow to you. If you have an unhealthy relationship with money, so if you think money is dirty, money is bad, money is evil, then you'll actually push money away. It comes back to your relationship with money, but it's important to understand that money is neither good or bad, right? If you have plenty of money, you can do good things with your money. If you have a bad person with plenty of money, they will do bad things with their money. So it's neither money, it's not the money that is good or bad, it's the hands whose it's in determines whether it's used for good or bad, right? It's the same thing with love, right? People have done bad things over love. People have done bad things over property. People have done bad things over their religion, right? Doesn't mean that love, property, or religion are bad. It just means that they've been used in a negative way. And money is the same, right? So money allows you to have more choices. And that is really the key here, right? So money is just an energy that we either allow into our lives or that we repel it. And so I just want to go through 3 of the key money blocks that people experience. And the first one is the belief that you have to work hard to make money. And this is a very common belief for a lot of people. There are a lot of people that have worked very hard for their money and they've become successful. But there's also a lot of people that have worked very hard for their money and they haven't achieved success. So hard work isn't necessarily the answer. But see, the reason why that is a really common belief is because it's a consciousness that wealth comes through effort, wealth comes through struggle, or even sacrifice. And this was an old mindset, so that having to struggle, having to sacrifice ourselves, that was the mindset. So we would receive abundance. If we look at the church, there is a consciousness there that, like, the eternal reward is a place in heaven. And the way to get that eternal reward is through struggle, is through sacrifice. If you experience hardship, if you experience difficulties, then the door of heaven is going to be opened for you. That's the old consciousness that people have. They had to go through that struggle. The other thing is a lot of people, even today in their careers, if something comes to them too easily, they don't value it, they don't appreciate it. And that comes from this mindset of having to work hard for things. If it has to come through difficulty, if it has to come through struggle, if it has to come through hardship, then anything that comes easily to you, you're not going to appreciate it. And in most cases, you're actually just going to block it from coming to you because you haven't worked hard for it. So it's really important to understand that this is that mindset where it's like, I have to be killing myself. I have to go through exhaustion. I have to be in survival mode in order to achieve and experience the abundance that I desire. And all that does is diminishes your immune system. And if your immune system starts to get diminished, then what you're going to find is you're going to be susceptible to a lot more health issues, right? It's really important. It's really important to be aware that when we get into that struggle mindset, when we get into that survival mode, what we're doing is we're triggering our body in a negative way. And it's only a matter of time before the body gets overloaded and all of a sudden we start to experience physical conditions. So the key here is understanding that you can allow abundance to come to you easily, right? There's nothing wrong with working hard if you choose to, but if you have to do it, anything that comes to you easily, you're going to sabotage, right? That's a really important thing. So know that you can allow your creativity and your inspired action to allow money to come to you easily, right? So I'll give you some downloads later in relation to this as well. The second one that we wanted to look at, the second money myth, is it's selfish or greedy to want or desire more. Now, this comes from like the mindset that, if you want more, then you're materialistic. If you're materialistic, then you can't be spiritual. The really important thing to understand here is having a lot of money allows you to be even more spiritual. And this is a really important thing, right? Because if you're spiritual, then your objective here is to make a difference in as many people's lives as you can. If you're in that energy of truly helping others, when you have more money, you can actually help more people. Right? So here's how it works. If I'm a theta healer and I'm doing consultations and I have somebody who is struggling financially and they can't afford to receive a healing from me, if I'm struggling financially myself, then doing that healing for that person is going to be a stress for me because I could be spending that time making money that's going to help me feed my family. So even if I do that consultation for that person, I do it for free, subconsciously I'm going to be thinking I'm letting my family down because I should be doing something that's going to help them put food on the table. But if I have abundance of money and that person needs that healing and they can't afford my services, then I can help that person and there is no stress. That's really important. There is no stress because I'm in a position where I have an abundance and I can help people. I can make a difference in their lives. So the more financial abundance you create for yourself, the bigger the difference you can actually make in other people's lives. That's one of the key things to understand here. If you truly would like to help people create financial success in your life, and you'll be able to make a bigger difference in other people's lives as well, right? That's really important. The other thing that is important here too is if you have that mindset that it's greedy or it's selfish to have more or to desire more, then you're actually going to block yourself from receiving. And receiving is one of the most important skills or abilities that we can have. See, the universe works under the law of cause and effect. It is the prime law of the universe. So if I do something bad to another person, that is a cause, and the effect is going to be somebody will do something bad to me. So if I hurt another person, somebody's going to hurt me. That's how the universe works. So everything works under the law of cause and effect. But if I think it's selfish for me to have abundance, then what's going to happen is I'm going to block myself from receiving. So now I go and do something good for another person. I give freely and lovingly to another person. And I have no expectation of receiving anything from that person. But the universe works under the law of cause and effect. So if I do something good for another person, then the universe is going to do something good for me. But if I'm blocking myself from receiving, when the universe tries to do something good for me, I'm going to block it. So what's going to happen is I'm going to be thinking that I'm a victim. I do all these good things for all these other people, but the universe never does anything good for me. And the reason why that happens is we're blocking ourselves from receiving. In order to allow abundance into your life, you need to become a great receiver. This is one of the most important things that you can do, right? So, a couple of things to understand about receiving. You may have people in your life that you've done something good for. And, sorry. You may have done or somebody may have done something for you. And we've probably all got these people in our lives where they did something good for you. And then every time you see them, they tell you, oh, remember I did this for you. And so what happens is they make you feel like you owe them something for the rest of your life. And so receiving can become a stress. So what starts to happen is we think, well, if receiving is so conditional and this person is constantly going to make me feel like I have to be doing something for them, then I'd rather not receive. And that's where a lot of people's issues around receiving come from. So if we can acknowledge or identify the earliest times in our lives where we had the issues with receiving or felt that receiving was a negative experience, then all of a sudden we can change that consciousness and we can allow ourselves to receive abundance. So becoming a great receiver is really important, but we'll also do some downloads around that as well. The other one that's really important, the third one that's really important, is there's not enough to go around. And this was a consciousness that was constantly brought up when I was a kid, and you probably experienced this too. We would be eating dinner, and if I didn't finish all of my food, I would be told, like that's really bad for you to do that because there's people starving in Africa or there's people starving somewhere and you're throwing away good food. There's a lot of that sort of consciousness that we've experienced throughout our lives. It's really important to be aware that there is no limit to the amount of wealth that you can experience. If you look at that diagram that I drew earlier, there is an infinite amount of wealth out there for everybody. There is more than enough for everybody. There is more than enough for you, and there is more than enough for everybody, because the Creator is infinite. There is no limit to the amount of supply. And that's really important for us to be aware of. Right? So, if everybody has everything that they desire, there will still be enough left over for everybody. There is no limit. And that's what's really important for you to understand. If you have more, nobody misses out. But what this is really about, this mindset of there is not enough to go around, is it's all about competition, right? It's all about comparing ourselves with other people, and it's all about fear. So this is all man-made consciousness. The fear that there is not enough to go around. There is a limited supply. The competition mindset is one of the biggest things that will block your abundance. As long as you are in competition with other people, you're stepping away from believing that the Creator is the source of your abundance, and you're making things difficult for yourself. If people collaborated as opposed to competing, they would all see that there is more than enough, right? And an example that I like to use as a theta healer, in Sydney, there are 5 million people. So it's a small city. So there are 5 million people in Sydney. So if, as a theta healer, if I wanted to see every one of those 5 million people in one calendar year, then I would divide 5 million by 365 days. So that would be 13,698. So if I wanted to see every single person in Sydney in a calendar year as a client, I would have to do 13,698 clients a day. It's not realistic. There is more than enough for everybody. And that's what's really important for all of us to understand. There is no competition. There is more than enough for everybody. And as long as we're in a competition mindset, we actually block ourselves from having the abundance that we desire. Right? So the important thing to understand here is the universe has your back. There is more than enough for everybody. The other thing that I just wanted to mention that really blocks a lot of people is the fifth plane consciousness of duality, right? And what the duality that comes in with is there's a lot of vows that people have taken, oaths and vows that people have taken of poverty, of sacrifice. If we look at a lot of our past lives, if we look at a lot of our ancestors, they had these belief systems that the way to heaven was through sacrifice. If they had poverty, then the door of heaven would open up for them. That's a really important thing to understand here. A lot of oaths, vows, and contracts that we have are all about sacrifice, are all about limiting ourselves, and that's the consciousness of duality, of good versus evil, of abundance and scarcity. So a lot of our ancestral, a lot of our past life beliefs are all based around that duality on the fifth plane of scarcity. And so if we disconnect from that consciousness, if we raise ourselves above this consciousness, then we're going to find that we will allow a lot more abundance into our lives, right? So we'll go through and we'll do some downloads in relation to all of those things. But before we do that, I just wanted to open up and see if there's any questions that people have. So Wilma's got her hand up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Wonderful. You won't be able to see me because my camera doesn't function, so I apologize for that. Will there be a replay for this? Because I tried for 13 minutes before Zoom actually let me in, and this has been, I swear to God, phenomenal. I have listened to so many, I feel so much energy in my head right now. I feel like something has opened up that I understood when you said about the receptor part. Like that was brand new to me to understand that. I knew I was blocking myself somewhere, but I didn't know where. So I'm excited for when you do the clearings at the end, that whatever I was meant to be here to receive is divine timing. And it's just, I'm just so grateful for everything you've been saying. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And it is recorded, so you can get access to that. Just get in touch with Zsuzsa. She'll be able to sort that out for you. Yeah, so thank you for that. Everything that we've covered here today, we go through in a lot more detail in the Wealth Consciousness class. But okay, next question.
Can I just say something? It looks like there's somebody just made a comment that looks like it's coming from me, and it's not me. So I think somebody is hacking your chat section. I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you.
That's not a word that I use. So when I saw it's coming from me, I was like, no. So, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Can I ask something? Is it someone's life being a theta healer?
Hold on, we've got another question at the moment. So, yeah. That's an interesting question. Is abundance beyond duality? It is if your mindset is beyond duality. Duality is a man-made concept, right? That's what's really important to understand here. Duality is not from the creator, because with the creator, there is only one state, and that one state is infinite abundance, right? So if you look at Vienna's teaching, the seventh plane energy is the energy of the creator. And the energy of the creator is pure unconditional love. So that is the one true energy in the universe. And that's what's the key here. The true energy in the universe is unconditional love. Everything outside of that is man-made, is a man-made concept. It's all part of that duality. So when it comes to money, money is a man-made concept. And that's where the duality comes in, where you can have a lot and you can experience lack. It's that duality consciousness. But if we're using money from a seventh plane consciousness, there is no lack, there is no duality. All there is abundance. Okay.
Hello, Mark. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure. Just Peter, if you can just wait. We've got Paniota. She was asking the question next, then we'll come to you, okay?
Okay. I would like to ask you, Mrs. Anthony, because I've been watching you a lot of days in the internet making wonderful videos about theta healing. I'm also a theta healer practitioner, and I would like to ask you, was it easy for you to decide to have this professional for living? What did you do before, and how do you make the step from previous to you can understand what I mean? Because I also work in a bank
Yeah.
department. Sometimes I want to make this step, and I'm afraid of because I have safety in the bank, and it's not. I would like to know your experience. Thank you for so much for all your videos you've done, and I'm really grateful to meet you here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, look, I was half dead. I was actually an engineer and I had my own business. I had a successful business in the construction industry. And then I got sick. And I got very sick to the point where I was half dead. And so I actually had to give my business away. So I gave my business away. And when I got out of hospital, I was still half dead, and the neurosurgeon said that if I pick up a shopping bag, it will collapse my spine. So at the time, my daughter was 2 years old. So I couldn't pick up my daughter. So my wife had to leave work as well. And so we had zero income, and it got to a point where we lost everything financially. So when I had my healing, I was planning to go back into engineering or construction. But everything I did relating to engineering or construction, it was like these doors would close in front of me. But anytime I did anything relating to theta healing, it was like these doors would open up for me. And it took a little while, but that's when I realized that this was my path. This was what I was meant to be doing. And I remember it was after taking the intuitive anatomy class, was during intuitive anatomy, I rang up my wife and I told her that I'm going to teach. And thankfully, she was able to go back to her work once I was healed. And so we still had an income. And that's what made it easier for me to actually take that step. If I was to be the main income earner and to walk away from my income to start a business from scratch, it would have been a lot harder. And that's what's really important to understand here. So if you are in a business, if you are in a job and you are making money, do not leave it. What you do is you stay in that job or business, and then you start advertising yourself as a healer. So you may do one evening a week, or you may do one day a week. And when that gets booked up over a few months, so that, let's say you're doing Saturdays for healings, and your Saturdays get booked out for the next 3 months, then I would go to my employer and I would say to them, can I start working 4 days a week? And so now you start doing 2 days a week as a healer. What you do is you allow your business to grow before you walk away from your income. Because the thing you've got to understand is that right now you've created an income that a lot of your financial stress is gone because you've got that income. If you were to stop that, then all of a sudden that stress about creating that income goes into your passion, which is healing. And your passion can become a stress. So what you're better off doing is you're better off starting small and allowing it to grow. Right? And so when I started, so basically I had my healing and my body was completely healed. About a month later, Vienna was coming to Australia, and Vienna only teaches the instructor classes. So I went to do the instructor classes just to meet Vienna. During the instructor's class, she said, 80% of you will go on and teach this work. And I remember sitting there and I was so relieved. And I thought, thank God I'm in the 20%. Because I never had any intention of becoming a healer or a teacher. I was just excited to be alive. And so that's what I recommend there. So what you've got to do is you've got to look at your situation in itself and what is the best way for you to start and grow your business and allow yourself to do it stress-free. And if you're doing it stress-free, then you've still got that income, all your expenses are covered, and whatever you make from your healing work is a bonus. And that way you keep the joy in it and you'll find that your business will grow a lot quicker. And what you do is you allow your business to become successful enough so it buys you out of your job. Right? That's the way I would do it. And that's the way I recommend people to do it. Okay. So next question, Peter.
Hello, Mark.
Hey, Peter.
First of all, I want to thank you, the ma'am, I Heal with Love. I am unable to pronounce her name. Because of her,
Zsuzsa.
because of her, I got a chance to enter into this session. And my question is, you have talked about vows and oaths from the past lives. Suppose if I have made a oath with some religious, I'm in India, so I must be in the past life in India also, that I do not want to touch the money, or I do not want to earn the money. I want to be in a sage life. And now it may be creating a problem for me in earning my money. So through theta healing, how can I approach this situation? Thank you so much.
Yeah. So look, the key to understand, like with the sage life, what you've got to look at is you can have that sage life, but you can still have money. You've got to understand that if you look at, the times where a lot of like the spiritual masters lived, like, the time of Buddha, you look at the time of Jesus, you look at, all of these masters that have come here and lived here on this physical earth, money wasn't really an issue then. Money wasn't something that was it wasn't a tool that we used for goods and services. Back in those days, everything was bartering. We would exchange things for what we desired. So money wasn't even an issue back in those days. So if we had those masters coming back in today's society, part of being a sage would be to mastering the mindset around money, because it's an important aspect of life today. And that's where I think it's about having discernment on those past times, having discernment on those past lives, and understanding that today is a different time and space, and there's different conditions or circumstances that we live by. And that's where it's important to understand that money is an aspect of creation. It is part of the reality that we live in and part of the reality that we're experiencing. And so becoming a sage is about mastering money as well, right? If you look at the example with Jesus turning water into wine, that's just abundance. That's just abundance. It's about that whole mindset. If we'll convert that today, it'd probably be money, right? So that's where it's important to understand that being a sage in these times is really important to understand that, money is an aspect of these times. And so mastering money is really important too. Okay.
Okay, but actually, my question was if I have the oath or the vow from my past life regarding money, how can I dissolve it now?
Oh, that's simple. Yeah. So all you do is you just command to release the oath, vow, or contract, right? So when we do the downloads, I'll actually release some of them for you. So we'll do that part with the download. So um, if you're a theta healer, then all you do is you go up into a theta state and you identify whichever vows you have in relation to money, and then you just command to release them. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Welcome. Okay, Rajesh.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for a wonderful session.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Okay, so that is a common thing that a lot of people have issues with. So um, this is all boundary stuff. So I've actually created a whole different course that I'm working on at the moment that is in relation to boundaries, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of people struggle when it comes to healing work. But it's not just healers. It's not just healers, right? So in general, you've got a lot of people that energetically take on other people's stuff. And the reason that happens is we have unconscious beliefs that we are healers. And as a healer, if I have a subconscious belief that I have to take on another person's energy in order to heal them, this sort of belief system comes from the fourth plane consciousness of the shamans or the medicine men and women. And what would happen with them is they would take on the the illness from the sick person, and they would go away and release it. So that's how we used to heal in past times. So what we would do is we would take on the issues from the other person. And that's what's happening in this situation here. When it comes to that money, what you're doing is you're making yourself on an unconscious level feel like you have to take on the issues, you have to take on the energy of the other person in exchange for that money. Now that's really important to change, and it can create a lot of issues in people's lives. So like these boundary issues, like the taking on the burdens of others is so powerful. I've actually had clients that had physical illnesses, and when we release them from another person's physical illness or release them from the obligation of having to heal a family member or that other person, then they were able to release that physical illness. It is that powerful. It is amazing. You'll be amazed like how powerful it is. A lot of people actually take on physical illnesses from other people because they feel that obligation to heal the other person. So there can be a lot of different factors that allow you to open yourself up to that. But one of the key ones that I've found, and one of probably the easiest ones to heal, is a lot of people have a subconscious belief that they have to heal through the fourth plane of existence. So you can muscle test, I have to heal people through the fourth plane of existence. Or you can even muscle test as well, I have to heal through the fifth plane of existence. And those two planes of existence are all like that sacrifice consciousness, where you may have to be taking on other people's stuff in order to heal them. So that's the first thing that I would be doing. And then, you can look into it deeper and see where those obligations come from. But the key thing to understand is that if you have to sacrifice yourself, then it comes back to some worthiness issues for you around money. So that's where on an unconscious level, you may feel like you have to sacrifice yourself in order to receive money. And so that's the probably like the key thing that I would be looking at there. So I'd be looking at whether you're healing through the fourth or fifth plane of existence. And then the other aspect that I'd be looking at is whether you have to sacrifice yourself to receive money. Okay.
Uh, Mark, can I ask you another question?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not sure because I didn't go through your whole presentation, but is money important or not important?
Okay, so money is important in our society today as a form of exchange. So in past generations, I would take my cow to the marketplace and I would trade my cow for whatever goods and services I desired. So we would barter. But in order to simplify the process, in order to make things easier, we invented money. And so we could take a piece of paper to the marketplace and we could purchase whatever we desired. So from that perspective, money is important because it's what we use to exchange for goods and services. So money in itself is just a tool that allows us to exchange for goods and services. That's where money's important ends, right? Because the truth is your consciousness determines how much money you have. Your consciousness determines how much abundance you experience. And the other thing that to understand with money is that money is not a motivator. It's what you do with the money that's going to motivate you. And that's what's really important to understand here. So money is important in our society as a tool, but that's it. The problem with money today is we tend to value ourselves based on how much money we have. And that's where we make the mistake. And that's where a lot of people have issues in life because they feel like their value is determined by how much money they have. And as long as they focus on their current bank balance, they don't allow their worthiness to increase. So money is important in our society, but money is not really important other than the fact that it's a tool. And that's really the key to understand and remember here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do some healing where I'm going to take you up into a theta state, and then we're going to go through and we'll do some downloads. So as I make these statements, if you're happy to receive them, then you can say yes to yourself and you'll receive the download, you'll receive the healing. Okay, cool. So close your eyes and visualize energy coming up through your feet, coming up through your body, and coming up out of the top of your head as a beautiful ball of light. See yourself in that ball of light. Take a moment to notice what color it is. What does it feel like? And then see yourself in that ball of light moving straight up, going past the universe. And as you go past the universe, you'll come into a white light, then another. And there are many white lights. Keep going. And finally, you'll come up into a golden light. And as you go through that golden light, you'll come into a jelly-like substance. It has all the different colors of the rainbow. You may see different shapes. And as you move through that, you'll come into a sparkly white light. And as you go into that sparkly white light, you may feel it tingling through your body. Allow yourself to feel every cell in your body, one with that sparkly, tingly white light. This is the pure unconditional love of the Creator. Allow yourself to feel it in every cell of your body. Okay, so now we make the command, Creator, it is requested that I receive all the downloads through every cell in my body and on all belief levels. Thank you, it is done, it is done, it is done. I have Creator's perspective and definition on wealth. My definition and perspective on wealth is the same as the Creator's. I have Creator's perspective and definition on money. My definition and perspective on money is the same as the Creator's. I know what it feels like to have a healthy relationship with money. I know how to allow myself to receive, accept, and keep money. I know what it feels like to be wise with my money. I know how to live without having to work hard to make money. I know how to allow money to flow to me easily and effortlessly. I know how to be in harmony with money. I know how to live without thinking I'm not worthy of wealth. I know how to live without thinking money always runs out. I know how to live without thinking I have to struggle with money. I know how to live without thinking money is hard to come by. I know how to live without thinking it's selfish or greedy to desire more. I know how to live without thinking there's not enough to go around. I know how to live without sabotaging myself. I know what it feels like to be supported by the Creator. I know how to trust my intuition. I know how to recognize my purpose. I know how to live my purpose. I know how to live my purpose and be financially abundant. I know how to release all oaths, vows, and contracts of struggle, poverty, and sacrifice. I know what it feels like to have divine freedom. I know what it feels like to have abundance. I know what it feels like to step into the flow of my abundance. I know that it's safe for me to receive. I know how to be a great receiver. I know the Creator is supporting me. I know how to allow myself to be supported by the Creator. I know manifesting works for me. I am a great manifester. Okay, so just allow yourself to take in all those healings coming in through every cell in your body. Okay, and now take your awareness back up into that tingly, sparkly white light. Feel yourself centered and grounded. Take a deep breath in and open your eyes. Was that really cool? Okay, so to continue your transformation, the wealth consciousness class is the next step, right? If tonight resonated with you, the next step is to take the wealth consciousness class. It is a 3-day workshop that allows you to go into everything that we've covered tonight, but in so much more detail. So the first day we cover all your money issues, looking at what's blocking you from having a healthy relationship with money, and we deal with those issues. The second day we look at quantum physics and time, so truly understanding how you are creating your reality. We've all heard that we create our reality, but when you understand step by step how you create your reality, creating it becomes really simple and really easy. So then we go through and we start setting intentions in all the different areas of your life. We also do an exercise to identify your life purpose. It is so powerful. And then we go through and we do an exercise on letting go. We do an exercise on gratitude that will absolutely change your life. So it's a really amazing class, and it really is the next step in allowing yourself to experience the life that you truly desire. See, I believe that every single one of us came here to make a difference. And we are all infinitely abundant. If we allow ourselves to step into that energy, then we can make that difference on this planet. It is really important that you stop making yourself small and step into the amazing being that you truly are. Because every single one of us is amazing. Every single one of us is here to make a huge difference. So it's a really amazing class. So it's coming up. It's the 20th to the 22nd of February. Is that right? Yeah, 20th to the 22nd of February. So it's really amazing. And Zsuzsa, if you want to add anything there about like seminar times and all that sort of stuff, we can do installments and stuff. That sort of thing is easy, not a problem. Right? Don't let money stop you, because if you keep doing the same things that you've always done, you're going to continue to get the same results. The way to experience the abundance that you desire in your life is to change the way you think. And this class will help you change the way you think. So if tonight resonated with you, then you can see that it's already shifted your mindset. And that's the key to experiencing abundance, shifting your mindset. So I just want to thank you all for allowing me to share this time with you, allowing me to share some insights with you about how you can shift your consciousness, because it really is easy. So thank you all, and especially thank you, Zsuzsa and Lara as well. Absolutely. Thank you all. Well, you too. Yeah, it's 4 a.m. Cool. Thank you. Good night.